Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Does this feel different? Huh? It's been a while. And welcome. I'm John Burlingham, Chairman of the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors for the Chamber. And I'd like to welcome everyone today to today's breakfast. Please join me in a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. For those of you joining us on our live stream, we are back in person at the Venue Uptown at the Best Western Plus. We want to sincerely thank everyone, all of our 1,000 members in particular, who stayed with us and supported the Chamber of Commerce during the pandemic. This is our first live in-person breakfast meeting since February of 2020. And while we don't anticipate having 200 plus chamber members here every month, as we did in the past, we hope to continue these meetings for the foreseeable future. As we have done today, we will continue to follow our correct CDC and health department protocols, including wearing masks and social distancing. And we will continue to live stream them on Chamber's Facebook page. So again, welcome back. Before we mention our upcoming events, I'd first like to thank all the sponsors and exhibitors who made the 25th anniversary Buy Local Expo at Diamond Mills last week such a huge success. After a year and a half conducting strictly virtual events, it was great to see so many people attending the expo and helping us get back to normal. Special thanks to our presenting sponsor, Nacarado Insurance, as well as our host, Diamond Mills. We look forward to seeing everyone back at our expo in 2022. Save the date. It'll be on Wednesday, September 14th. Our next Chamber breakfast meeting will be held right back here at the Venue Uptown on Wednesday, October 13th. Our special guest will be Mike Oates, President of the Hudson Valley Economic Development Corporation. He'll be speaking about the dramatic changes we've seen in the Hudson Valley, culminating with a surge of new residents discovering our region in the past 2 years. There was also the recent opening of Legoland in Orange County, as well as a nearby Resorts World Catskills Casino. Those two projects alone cost developers over $1 billion. That's a B, billion dollars. Find out from Mike Oates what other changes are expected here in the Hudson Valley in the coming months and years. The sponsor for our October 13th breakfast will be Hudson Valley Credit Union. Later next month, you're invited to join the Chamber at Diamond Mills and Saugerties for our annual Business Recognition Awards Dinner, where we will honor a slate of outstanding local businesses and organizations. Mark down the date, Thursday, October 21st, starting at 5:30 p.m. Our honorees this year include Business of the Year, Howmet Fastening Systems, Small Business of the Year, 32 Partition, 721 Media Center, the Ellenbogans, Business Person of the Year, Renee Martin of Lily Ray in the Hamlet, Hospitality Business of the Year, Courtyard by Marriott, Kingston, Commitment to the Community Award, Boys and Girls Club of Ulster County, the Heritage Award, J&J Sass Electric, Emerging Young Leader Award, Stephen Kennedy, Turn Up the Beat. Len Kane Heart of Ulster County Award will be given to Tommy Keegan posthumously of Keegan Ales. Tickets and sponsorship opportunities are listed on the Chamber website, ulsterchamber.org. We look forward to seeing you October 21st at Diamond Mills. Finally, this is last call for anyone interested in advertising in the Chamber's 2022 Community Resource Guide and Membership Directory. The directory is used by businesses hoping to relocate to Ulster County, by travel visitors to our region, and by anyone looking for a service or product. It will be printed and distributed later this year by our partner, Color Page Marketing and Publishing Services. If you'd like to advertise, you'll find more information about the guide on our website. And now, with the rest of our program this morning, here's Ward Todd.
John, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. What a beautiful day, isn't it really? The last full day of summer, though. Anybody want to talk about that a little bit? Great to see everybody back. It has been, as John said, it's been much too long. We miss seeing you. Thanks for being part of the Chamber of Commerce and staying with us. Think back what's happened in that time since February of 2020, the dramatic changes, and yet you're here. You're still going strong. Your businesses are doing well, we hope, and we hope to continue that. The breakfast meetings have been a great opportunity for our members to network over the years and to grow their businesses, and we are convinced that's going to continue. So, as John has already mentioned, after much thought and deliberation, the Chamber Board of Directors and staff believes the time is right to continue our in-person events as long as we continue to host them responsibly, and so we'll work with our partners here at the Venue Uptown to set this room at between a third and a half capacity, to limit the number seated at each table, and also to space everybody out as mentioned, following all the appropriate mask protocols as well. So we know you need to continue to grow your businesses, and we are here for you, whether we're in person or whether it's through social media or our website or other means. John, I'm going to ask you to stay up for a couple of minutes. Before we get to our program this morning, we want to thank and congratulate and recognize our amazing corporate sponsors who play such an important part in the Chamber of Commerce, our daily activities. They enable us to fulfill our mission of bringing businesses and organizations together to improve our local economy and to promote and sustain this magnificent quality of life we have right throughout Ulster County. As we introduce each business, we'd like you to have them send a representative up or more to come and accept a plaque from the Chamber of Commerce for your support in 2021. Please join us in thanking these businesses. We begin with our corporate leaders, starting with Nuvance Health, if you would. John Nelson, Marina from Nuvance Health, please come up. Thank you for your support. Ulster Savings Bank, stay if you would for a minute. Ulster Savings Bank, Bill Calderara and your team, thank you for your support. Our good friends at Central Hudson, if you would please come forward. Our team, Tim Hayes and folks, the group from Central Hudson, thank you for your support. From Rondout Savings Bank, CEO Cheryl Bowers, please come up. Cheryl, thank you for everything. From the Emerson Resort and Spa, Tamara Murray, come on down. And from Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union, Wayne Winkler and your great team at Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union, come on up if you would. Stay if you can for some photos, as Jess is multitasking today, live streaming and photographing. We recognize our corporate partners at the next level. Sawyer Savings Bank is with us, I believe. Is Doug Sturgis here? Doug, come on up if you would. Folks from Sawyer. Also want to thank great friends from Hudson Valley Credit Union, Lisa Morris, and any others from your team. Come on forward for your plaque from the Chamber. We also want to thank John and Jack Nacarado from Nacarado Insurance. That would be Hudson Valley Credit Union? Yep. Nacarado was unable to be with us due to a last-minute scheduling conflict, but we thank them for their support. Thanks our corporate supporters at this time, the team from Kimlin Energy Services, come on up. We thank you for your support in 2021. Johann Hewlett from Community Products. Johann, are you with us this morning? From Health Alliance of the Hudson Valley, member of Westchester Medical Center, Dr. Michael Doyle, please come forward. Thank you, Dr. Doyle. Group from Sickler, Torcha, Allen, and Churchill, CPAs. Come on forward if you would. Craig, Joe, thank you for being here. Also thanks to Caramount Medical, our corporate supporters. Great help for us this year. Bookends. Next, we want to thank our sustaining sponsors, Ulster Federal Credit Union, Bill Corbis. Come on forward if you would, Bill. Got the folks from UHY LLP, I believe. Brad Cummings, Matt Vanderbeck. You guys make it today? Thank you very much for coming in. And also thanks to our good friends at Adams Ferricker Farms for their support, our sustaining sponsors. UHY. Awesome. All right, thank you all so very, very much. Nice round of applause. All of our corporate supporters, we could not do what we do without you. Those of you who've been here before know that we often do door prizes, so we're going to put our toe in the water and do a few of those today and see how that feels. So we do have, if you didn't already get your little business card in, please do those at this time. Carol's going to go around, and Ingrid, get business cards. I think it's time that we welcome some new members, though, before we do door prizes. So maybe we'll have Jess Davis come up. For those of you who missed, Carol Rickon is with us today, but Carol, when this all began, went into semi-retirement, right? Jess became our director of membership just at the right time, and so Jess is going to introduce our new members to you this morning. So Jess, come on forward.
Good morning, everyone. So good to see all your faces. We have quite a lineup to go through today, so I'm just going to be announcing the business names this morning. So we've got Accord Market, Arch Care at Ferncliff Nursing and Rehabilitation, BCM1 Voice and Data Communications, Bearsville Center, Bridge Arts and Education, Carry Out Kings, Cintas, Commercial Express Financial Services, Core Cardio Kickboxing, Gilday Creative Incorporated, JTS Design Incorporated, Juliet LaFaro Portrait Photographer, Cakes Alakim, Krupa Brothers Pierogi Company LLC, Mold Matters LLC, North Star New York, Poughkeepsie Chapter of the Society for the Preservation and Encouragement of Barbershop Singing in America Incorporated, Real You Film, Santa Fe Burger Bar, Solavis Holistic Behavioral Health Coaching, Stavo Industries doing business as Ertlesop, Stone Ridge Orchard, T-Mobile, Village Pizza, and New Paltz. Every village has a pizzeria. And I would just like to say to our community, to any of you, we are growing every day. So if there's anyone that should be a chamber member, please let me know or send them my way. Thanks so much. And thank you for all that you do for the chamber being here this morning.
So Jess, stay up here, Jess, if you would, just for a minute. Since this is the first time back together since it all began, it's, I think, more than appropriate, and I wish that Timely Signs had a plaque large enough that we could have had made to give to Jess Davis. You may remember in March of a year ago, we launched, thanks to Jess's hard work and efforts, Ulster Eateries United and Ulster Small Businesses United. They made a dramatic change in the way people were able to do business, and I think you'd all agree was a huge success. Could we have a nice round of applause for the one and only Jess Davis? Speech. You're welcome. You're very welcome. Always a pleasure. I should note also, John mentioned the expo that was held just last week. We're delighted to have with us the second place Best in Show, which was the Emerson. That was really pretty cool. Congratulations on that. Friendliest booth, Jewish Federation of Ulster County. That was amazing. Good job. And Norman Staffing, did you get the People's Choice Award, did I hear? I think that was it, so congratulations on that. All right, let's do some door prizes. What do we have? Oh, speaking of Tony Marmo. What are these? And it means, what does that say? What's that mean?
That means always together.
Always together. All right, we have 2 of these to give away to someone, lucky person at the breakfast this morning.
The Italian Festival coming up October 10th, 10:10 at 11 o'clock. Remember that. 10:10
Okay.
at 11.
Ulster County Italian American Foundation, it is a big deal, right? Down on the Strand.
It doesn't come with cooking lessons, by the way.
It does not come with cooking lessons. Christina Myers from Rondout Savings Bank. Congratulations, Christina. This is pretty funny. Alex Steer from Home Plate Deli and Caterers. You've got to wear this, Tony, right? You've got to wear this, right?
Yeah. You have some vowels in your name. Sears.
How nice is that? Cleverly disguised bottle of wine from JK's in the Kingston Plaza, and that's going to go to Julie Francescini, am I correct, from Hudson Valley Credit Union. And we need 3 or 4 more cards. And another bottle of fine spirits, Kyle Nacarado, UHY. Congratulations. Enjoy. You're right. We've got a gift card to the Village Bagels in Saugerties. Congratulations. That goes to Tamara Murray at the Emerson Resort and Spa. Congratulations. Another $10 gift certificate to Village Bagels, and that goes to William Diavella from Pennrose. How about that? You got to come back, Will. I need one more card. One more card. So there was this thing that happened in Bethel a few years ago, and Gary Kavistad did a Woodstock Chimes. And so you probably have heard by now the company has been sold. We're delighted to hear that everybody's going to be keeping their jobs. The place will stay open. It's just under a new company now, so Gary and Diane are kind of retiring after 42 years, but a world-known local manufacturing company right here in Ulster County. Lisa Morris from Hudson Valley Credit Union gets this beautiful set of chimes. Congratulations. Such fun. So anybody has door prizes next month, bring them on up. We'd be glad to give them away in front of the crowd. Before we get to our speaker, we want to thank our sponsor this morning. It is New Vance Health. And New Vance Health continues to transform healthcare by expanding high-quality primary heart, neurology, and cancer care in Ulster County with New Vance Health medical practices and nearby at Vassar Brothers Medical Center and Northern Dutchess Hospital. New Vance Health would also like to recognize its excellent doctors, nurses, techs, and support staff for their commitment to delivering safe care and enhanced infection protection and prevention around the clock during this unprecedented pandemic. New Vance Health extends their heartfelt appreciation to the Chamber of Commerce, all of today's attendees, and those across the region for their continued support. And they encourage you to get your COVID-19 vaccine and to stay vigilant against the spread of this virus. To learn more about New Vance Health services and important updates on COVID-19, visit their website, which is newvancehealth.org. Join them on social media at New Vance Health. And we are delighted to have with us John Nilsson, Marina Ballantyne from New Vance Health. Thank you. Thank you for your support as our sponsor this morning. Greatly appreciate it. So it's time to introduce our program this morning. Just a little bit of a background, but I'll save most of this for Pat. But last year, the county executive and the county legislature came together and identified the lack of housing as a significant issue for all of our local residents, for our workforce, for all of you in your attempts to hire and keep good employees. So to talk about the process first of selecting a developer and introducing them to you this morning, we're delighted to welcome our Ulster County executive, Pat Ryan. Pat.
I haven't been with this many people in almost 2 years, so good morning, everyone. I remembered how to tie a tie, and My jacket still fits generally, so that's a good start to the morning. Ward, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I'm going to introduce my co-presenters here in a moment. But I just want to thank everybody for being here this morning. I want to thank you all as individuals, as leaders in your businesses, as leaders in our community, as leaders in your family, for what you've done to get our community through this last 18 months. We're obviously not totally through it yet, but getting to really be on the front lines of watching our community respond and the resilience that we showed, the unity that we showed, I am really damn proud of that. So I just want to thank you all, and I want to ask everybody to give each other a round of applause, because I think we all need a little bit of that right now. And the chamber, and Jess in particular, but the whole chamber really rallied as well, in a way that I know a lot of other communities didn't, to support our businesses and our local businesses. So thank you for that. And New Vance, I was saying to you, but I'll say it publicly, I still remember the very first days we were desperate to figure out how to get testing. I know that feels like a long time ago. And I made a call to leadership at New Vance, and within a few days, we were one of the first counties in the state to have testing up and running at a pretty high scale at the former IBM site. And that feels like it was easy looking back, but it was not. So I just want to thank you all for that. So we're going to talk about another light topic this morning, but a really important topic, because what we all know, and many of us have said, is the pandemic also really shined a light on a lot of the systemic challenges, systemic inequities that were already there before the pandemic, but that were really brought to the surface and brought to the fore and made much more acute. And I think challenges come with that, but frankly, huge opportunity and a window to address some of those systemic challenges as we come out of it, and also at a time where we have an unprecedented, once-in-a-generation amount of federal relief funds that I want to make sure we steward and that we make best use of, and that we not spend, but that we invest those funds in looking out to build sort of the systems and the needs in our county and in our community that we frankly should have addressed in many cases decades ago. So one of those that we've all seen most acutely is the need for housing. So I want to just start by a little audience participation, because it's early and we'll get everybody engaged, hopefully. This may or may not work. Tony, I'm going to call you out. It's the easy one. Good. Where did you come from this morning?
Ulster Park.
But where did you come from in Ulster Park?
My house.
Your house, okay. I'm assuming most people came from their house this morning. Mm-hmm. How many people here, and you don't need to raise your hand, but how many people here, just think about this, have ever had to worry that they wouldn't have a home? You can raise your hand if you want, but you don't have to. Just think about that. If not you, how many people have worried about maybe an aging parent being priced out of a home? Or a younger child who's maybe moving out of the house and trying to find a home in Ulster County? Or certainly, as business leaders, if you're not aware of this, which I'm sure you are, your employees, almost all of them, are in a situation where they increasingly are working, as you know, working hard, doing everything that we're asking them to do, and they cannot afford to find a place to live with dignity in our county. And that is just morally wrong, number one. But economically, I've talked to many of you about this, it's really holding us back in a fundamental way at a moment when we know our economy and our community is poised to actually, I think, grow and succeed, and really hopefully everybody enjoy that growth. So we're just at that window where I feel like we're a little behind, but we can capture the moment that we're in and make investments that will take 5, 10, 15, 20 years to manifest, and we should know that and we should recognize that. But if we don't start the work now to address what is a acute, I think, blinking red light alert challenge in Ulster County and the region of needing more housing at every level of our housing market, then we're in real trouble. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about one specific project that we're working on, but I just want to kind of set that context. I'm a data person. I think the data matters, especially to you all that run businesses and live by the numbers, so I want to share a few data points. If you're like me and your vision is bad, we even printed out some of the data for you, so feel free to follow along on the back page of the handout in front of you. I'll talk about in a moment. So I'm just going to talk for one or two more minutes. If you could go to the next slide, please. We're going to talk about that stuff. Next slide. So just in the last month or two, we are getting national press. We were on the front page of the paper edition of the Washington Post, in not a great way, to be candid, being called out that as we're seeing more folks coming and as we're seeing economic recovery, the other side of that is that there are a lot more people struggling to afford to live here. I thought this New York Times headline, which is a great piece if you haven't read it, and we link to it right on the front side of your piece, where several of our business owners were interviewed, including Latoya Flood, who's featured in the photo, but including Tom Smiley, CEO of Mohonk, and Stu Myers, CEO of Exago, all saying the same thing, that they hear over and over from their employees that the inability to afford to live here is hurting their ability to attract talent. It's hurting their ability to keep folks here. I think it's hurting our ability to keep young people here, which we all know we desperately want and need to do. So I just think it's important that we recognize this is not a problem of other people. This is not someone else's problem. This is all of our problem in the room here as community leaders, as business leaders, and I think just as frankly as human beings. So I'm going to talk about how we kind of got here for a second. Next slide, please. Actually, I'm going to flip the order a little bit. Go to the next. First, I'm going to talk about the problem, then I'm going to talk about what we're doing. So these are the charts I was speaking to. The takeaway here, there are numbers in front of you. You can look at this after another cup of coffee. But the bottom line is, for 80% of residents in Ulster County, the lower 4 out of 5 quintiles of our county, wages have actually gone down, adjusted for inflation in the last 10 years. And costs of everything, as we know, healthcare, education, but particularly housing, has gone up dramatically. So that just creates a fundamental situation where the lines are going the wrong direction for the vast majority of people in our community. And you can see the only people who made more money on average are the top 20% of earners in the county, and most of that goes to the top 5% of earners in the county. So again, people working, doing all the things we're asking, but not getting that sort of the other half of the bargain being addressed for them. In particular, we've really seen this. If you go to, I'll actually stick on this one. We've really seen it for renters, but we're also seeing it for homeowners. So I'll just leave that for a second. And then if you go to the next one. So this kind of talks about the other side of that, which is as wages have stagnated, rents are going up. I actually think these numbers are low, significantly low. These are 2018 numbers. So this is all pre-pandemic, by the way, these numbers. Unfortunately, we don't have 2020, 2021 data yet. This says that rents are up 16%, but I know just anecdotally, if you could find a one-bedroom for $1,000 right now in Ulster County, you'd be a hero. That is not the case. We're probably well over $1,500, getting into $1,700, $1,800. I see a lot of head nods. And what that ultimately equates to, which I think is just striking, at the average wage people are earning in our county right now, they'd have to work 66.7 hours just to afford that I mean, it's just not practical and infeasible. So that is where we're at, and I think it's just important that we recognize that, and that we all think about what we can do to address that. And if you can actually go back 2 slides, sorry to go out of order here, my bad. We are tackling this as a county, but we need your all's help, and that's really why I'm here today and why we're here today. So 2 components to what we're doing to address this. Number one, we started with a comprehensive 137-page report put together for us by Pattern for Progress, as you all know, a leading think tank in the Hudson Valley region, that really breaks this down in a comprehensive, data-driven way, town by town. If you want to check out that report, it's online. You can look at your town. You can see this same level of data. You can see at the town level how these challenges manifest. You can learn more, you can go as deep as you want, basically, to see the homework that we've done. And we've been on sort of a roadshow to a certain degree to raise awareness about the importance of this issue. And I felt it was particularly critical to talk to business leaders to understand the intersection between housing and affordability of housing and your businesses. The other thing that we're doing beyond talking and writing reports, which is a good start, is taking concrete action to get at the number one recommendation from this 137-page housing action plan is we need to build more housing. Fundamentally, this is an oversimplification, but it's a supply and demand problem where we just have not built enough housing in really that bottom 70 or 80% of the housing market. And so with less supply and more demand, prices are just going through the roof, as any economist would predict. So we need to build more housing now at really every level, traditional subsidized affordable housing, but really particularly we're focused on senior housing so folks can age in our community with dignity. We're focused on workforce housing so that our frontline workers who were in the ER, who were teaching in our schools with virtual and masks and everything else, who were delivering our packages, who were giving us groceries, all those people that literally risk their lives for our community so that they can actually afford to live. So the project we're going to talk about today is one of those projects where we're taking our former county jail site at the Golden Hill facility, demolishing that and building approximately 160 units of senior and workforce housing. And you're going to hear more about that from our partners here now. But the other thing that we need to do is we really need to mobilize. I mean, that is like a small fraction of what we need. We need to build thousands of units of housing, homes, but particularly apartments. And that will start to help to address this. So we need to look countywide at identifying places we can do this. We need partners who can help us finance this creatively, who can, most importantly, build popular support in your communities. Because while everyone here, or many of you, may shake your head and agree that we need housing, once we get to the point where we decide on a specific location for that housing, many people then say, well, we need it, but maybe not so close to me. The classic NIMBY acronym. So we need to be able to work through that if we're going to address this. And I think we have to call that out and just be straightforward with that as another real challenge ahead of us. So I spoke for too long, but I think it's important to foot stomp this and to emphasize it. At the end of the day, I believe that actions are what matter. And so we are leading by example. We're starting with what I think will be a model statewide and I think nationwide for how to do this right at the former county jail site. And we went through an extensive process, including a lot of public input to select a phenomenal set of partners in Pennrose who have a track record, especially in New York and in the region, but nationwide, in building not only housing, but really building communities, building a place where people can have intergenerational housing with seniors mixing with young kids, and all the great things that come along with that. So they are going to talk about that now. I'll invite up the team. Come on up, please, and join me in welcoming the team from Pennrose to talk more about the project.
So how'd we get here? It's really great to be in front of you all this morning. It's not a routine stop on our housing trail to get to mix and mingle with some of the leaders in business in the communities that we're working in. But Golden Hill is a pretty unique project already, and it's still got a long ways to go. And so I'm really excited to have our team here, to have the support of Pat and his office and his incredible staff. I saw Dennis come in earlier, and I'm sure Evelyn is somewhere, if not direct, a part of this. But what Pennrose really does, and I think Pat hit on it, we think of ourselves as community experts. We think of ourselves as community builders. We think of ourselves as housing people. And so as that, and in the role that we do it in over 17, before the end of this year, probably 20 different states, that's what we've been doing for the better part of 45 years. And so when we responded to the RFP for the former jail site, we came at it with a lot of that expertise and responding directly to what was, clearly within the pages of the proposal, something that wanted to be ambitious. And so, with that experience, bringing in our expertise as partners on public-private transactions, our work, with different financing, tax credit, and otherwise programs that are what really make affordable housing produced, just as infeasible as it is for you to think that someone could sustainably work over and over 67 hours a week to afford a unit. It's infeasible for conventional financing to build that unit, right? It's the same logic, right? It needs to have an income stream in order to be financed. If the income stream isn't viable, the housing unit's not viable. And so we lean on our expertise in tax credit construction, as well as, within the other New York State affordable housing finance programs. A little bit about, by the numbers of where we are. I think it's important in the context of being able to demonstrate executing on complex and ambitious programs. Again, as a company, we're currently under construction on over $3.5 billion worth of housing. That touches all job sectors aside from just the trades. It's property management, it's architectural engineering, it is social services, it's healthcare. My team that's in the room here is currently working on about $1 billion of that pipeline, and that really ranges from Buffalo all the way down into Brooklyn. And so we're New York State people. We focus here. We're always within about a 3-hour radius of where we're touching, and so we're going to hope to be part of this community as we advance the idea for Golden Hill. It's not just us. It's nowhere near just us. The job creation begins now, and really in earnest 6 months ago. We're working with local experts in terms of landscape architecture and urban planning, and Wallace, Robert, and Todd's. Chazen companies in terms of civil engineering. That's a Labella company now. Stephen Winters Associates for sustainability consulting. We have a workforce consultant specifically focused on equal opportunity employment as well as workforce utilization. Pennrose Management Company. I kind of glossed over it, but we're also our own management company. We hire employees for long-term permanent positions. When we come into communities, we're looking for new property managers, porters, handymen, assistant supers, all of those things. And that's the bulk of our 400+ person company is our boots on the ground, people who, got us through a very difficult time in the last 2 years and that we celebrate every day. And then local attorneys and our social services partner who we're going to be working with, because part of stable housing is more than just an achievable rent at 40 hours a week. It's services to help you find entitlements. It's once you get home, how do you make sure your bills get paid? How do you address things that your mind is focused on keeping your job straight? And so they've been a great partner at the beginning of this. Next. And then we're going to get into the project a little bit, but I think touching on what Pat had said. The big pieces of this project that you're going to see in the presentation that Will's going to go through have to do with connecting back to resource. Resource is a big word. Resources in community, resources in natural features, and all the things that make this great, and that a lot of my Brooklynite friends are wanting to move up here for. And then it's making people accountable to those resources, accountable to their neighbors. Accountability is a big thing at Pennrose. And so we feel very accountable to you guys as business leaders. We hope that you'll be accountable in the process that we're undertaking here. There's going to be a number of additional community events that we're going to be working through. There's a lot of input that has to get into this plan in order for it to really be sturdy. We're going to look to see people coming out and hopefully showing some support during zoning meetings and meetings with Common Council, because we think that's the ultimate project that wants to get built. That's the project that stays for the long haul. And that's the project that helps me get to the 1,000 units that Pat needs. So with that, I want to ask Will to come up from Pennrose and we can talk through the site plan, which is the most fun part of the project.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dylan. Hey, everybody. My name is Will Davella. I'm a developer here at Pennrose, working in the New York office, and I'll be working on the Golden Hill project, which I am delighted to introduce to you all today and teach you a little bit more, and we'll be here after if anyone has any questions. And with that, I want to tie this back to the previous slide that Dylan was just walking through about some of the larger goals of this project that were written into the RFP that we responded to from the county, and that we're trying to really weave into the development plan and the programming for this overall project. And that is creating an intergenerational community where both seniors and families can live together, and also having it be a really broad range of incomes and affordability. So it's a really diverse community offering deeply affordable housing, but then all the way up to the 80% quintile that Pat was mentioning of workforce housing. So it's a real good mix. And with that, if I can, I'll just walk you through the site plan here. To the north is the entrance to the site. That's Golden Hill Drive. And to the left, that kind of a squiggly building there, that's a mid-rise senior-oriented building of approximately 80 units of senior housing with integrated communal space and provision of appropriate social services for the people who are going to be living there. And then sort of down the hill to the right, you'll see a variety of buildings. Those are 2- or 3-story townhouses for family housing. And we hope to really tie it all together with a mix of different community greens, offering places for people to exercise and be outside together, both that be the seniors who want to hang out outside on a nice day and enjoy the incredible view sheds that the site offers, but also families who need some place to hang out outside as well and for the kids to play. Another thing I want to mention while we're on the slide is how we intend to tie this site, which is really a little isolated up on the hill, back into the community of Kingston. And one idea that we have is to potentially bring some commercial businesses or community-operated space to the site. And you can see that there in the community hub offered right at the north of the site towards the entrance. This is something that we're really hoping to better inform with time and community input about what type of services might be the most appropriate here. It is a community business offering services to the people who are going to live there that's appropriate for that population, or is a commercial business that really seems like it's a good fit to bring people from outside this specific neighborhood into the Golden Hill community and bridge those ties. So that's something we're, as I'll mention later, we're going to host a number of community meetings, and we'd love some input on what might be the best fit. And secondly, quickly, I want to mention, we're hoping to bring another bus stop to the community up there towards the north for people who don't have access to their own car. And then finally, a connection to the Empire State Trail system with a literal trail connection on the south side of the site. That's that blue line. So our goal here, again, is to create a really intergenerational and mixed income community, but then tie this site back into the community, both physically and through services as well. Next slide. And just to give you an idea of sort of the design precedents and imagery that we're hoping to bridge into the aesthetics of this project and the design, the exterior facades, here are just some images of things that are going to inform the design as we move forward. Peter, next slide. And just some brief imagery to give you an idea of what we're hoping to execute on. Here you'll see some of the family townhouses we mentioned, some of the outdoor play space for both seniors and children. Next slide. A similar type of view, just looking the other way. Okay, and next I want to talk about another really key goal of this project, which is making a substantial investment in sustainability. In line with the county's Green New Deal plan and the key tenets and ideas that come out of that, we really want to be a part of that. And that includes studying full electrification of the site, if possible. That's heating, cooling, hot water, some really innovative and difficult things, but we'd like to try to make as much of that happen as possible here. And that'll really limit our reliance on the use of fossil fuels in the site in general. And secondly, there's on-site renewables and solar, potentially geothermal. These are things we all want to get into and just further understand the feasibility, but be something we really like to try to execute on here at this Golden Hill site. And that's in addition to things like green building practices and using green materials throughout. And we intend to pursue something called Enterprise Green Communities Plus certification, which is a green building certificate and certification program that really guides the design to ensure that we're following through on these ideas, and then tracks us throughout the construction progress to make sure that we actually execute on those ideas by the end. Thanks. Okay. Well, those are our preliminary ideas, and with that, where we are right now is trying to garner as much input and feedback and ideally support from the community as possible. We've held 2 public meetings so far, and we intend to hold a number of ones throughout the coming months towards the end of the year. And these meetings, we'll do them in person, we'll do them virtually, whatever's most comfortable for people. We'd love to have your attendance. And they're going to hit on things throughout really the development process and try to bring the public and people who are really interested into that design and development process with us. So we'll touch on things like site plan, affordability, the appropriate services, and community organizations who could be here. Just really anything that could help better define this project as a whole and make sure that the voice of this community is echoed in the development plan that we deliver, because otherwise it's really just not going to be successful. So, and I guess just to touch on that last point, at the end we will produce a full report with everything we've heard in those meetings and those key ideas, and we'll make sure that's public for everyone on our website, and we'll try to wrap those ideas into our development plan to make sure that, again, this project speaks for what is appropriate for Ulster County, and it's not just our ideas. Next. And for everyone who wants to be part of it, this is really the best way to stay informed. So if you Google Golden Hill Pennrose, or maybe you can Golden Hill Project, I haven't tried that one yet. It should be the first thing that comes up on Google, is our project website for this. You can just go in there, put in your name or your email address, and you'll get all the relevant project updates. You'll get notices for every public and community meeting that we're going to be holding. We'll post all of the presentations, the material, Q&A, and notes from those meetings, videos of the presentations, which we already have a few up there if they're virtual, if you're just catching up now or you can't attend. It's really the best way to stay informed and involved. And if there's anyone you know who might be interested, please tell them here to follow us, and our email address is on there. I respond to that personally, so if you have any questions, you can reach me that way. But yeah, we would really, really appreciate anyone here who's particularly interested to help get involved with us and share your ideas. So, and lastly, I want to quickly touch on some of the larger economic development and workforce goals we have with the project, which is, we're going to have substantial goals for hiring of women-owned companies, minority-owned companies, and service-disabled veteran-owned companies in line with the state's goals. And in addition to that, more locally focused, we're going to have serious goals for hiring of local workers, people from Ulster County and the surrounding communities, for the variety of roles in construction, which is a pretty large number, but those are temporary jobs, and also permanent jobs in housing, in services, in property management, working for Pennrose Management Company that'll stay on for the long term. In addition to spending goals for the project throughout operations and construction, for services and products from local businesses as well. Cool. And with that, I'm getting close to wrapping up. So I just wanted to mention some of the key things we want to get out today, which is, if you're really interested in this and you want to get involved, we really encourage you to come out, attend some of these public meetings, watch the webinars, and share your thoughts. The more feedback we can get during this phase, the better, because then we'll just have less opposition, and it'll be more of a community-voiced development plan as we move forward with some of the public approvals that we're pursuing. And additionally, we are going to be having public meetings, as Dylan mentioned before. We're going to pursue some municipal approvals that will allow this project to happen. And the more public support we can have for that, the better. So if you want to come out to a public meeting, we would love to have you there. So, okay. I think, maybe we'll put that slide back on and leave it at that. All right. Ward, thank you so much. Everyone, appreciate it.
So the developers and Pat have agreed to stay for a little while and answer questions, if anyone has any at this point. Questions about the project or housing in general? Tony?
Yeah, I
optimistic timeline, well, just a timeline.
You guys wanna talk about that?
Yeah. Older, I guess.
I like the optimistic tone, though, Tim.
All right. Well, I'll try to share not too optimistic of an answer, but ideally, so in broad strokes, where we are is for the rest of this year, we want to further like development, pre-development activities and these community meetings and just get as much input as possible. Once that's done, that's through the end of the year, we'll really focus on design and financing, which could take about 6 to 12 months. So that's 2022. So we would hope to start construction either midway through next year or towards the end of next year, depending on when we're awarded our financing. And then it's approximately 2 years for construction and ribbon cutting. So I would say 2.5 to 3 years until the day we open our doors. Okay.
I would say we're going to push as hard as we can, and Pennrose is on board with that. But I think it's important to understand these projects take a lot of time, which is why, and that's a fast timeline, and we appreciate you guys being aggressive. We need to start this work now on multiple similar projects so that, you know, my son's 2 right now, you know, hopefully when he graduates high school in 16 years, like that's the timeline we're talking about in a very honest sense to get at the thousands of units that we need. I do want to just reiterate the importance, if you think this is a good idea, which I hope you do, and if you have questions, we want to hear them, but we need public support which will actually speed up the timeline. We somewhat control our own destiny and how quickly we can move through the various stages of approval at the city level and even levels of financing from the New York State Homes and Community Renewal and all that process. So if people understand that this is a project that the community is excited about, it will go faster. So we can put out those details and ask you all to actively even just come for 5 minutes to a public hearing and say, I support this, or even write a letter of support, which we're happy to help facilitate. But that really goes a very long way to speeding up the process.
Okay. Any other questions for our speakers? Yes. Bob.
I'm sorry, sir? How will it affect the nursing home? You guys may want to jump in, but the idea at this point is that they're separate entities, obviously near each other. We don't anticipate this would negatively affect the current nursing home. I think, in fact, there's synergy between the two potentially, and the fact that this will be a facility with a significant senior population that's now co-located next to that facility, but also among a lot of other services. You know, I see, Stephanie and Gateway here is just nearby. Institute for Family Health is nearby. Our transit hub is nearby. So, I think it's a well-situated spot to actually not just offer a great place to live, but a lot of those services. So I hope that answers your question, unless you guys have anything to add on that in terms of impacts.
No, we proactively engaged with Golden Hill when we responded to the RFP, at which time they were going through a bit of an acquisition. And we've been in contact with them since. The location of the proposed senior building is not mistaken in its proximity to that facility.
If you haven't been up there ever, which I had never been for quite a while, even though I grew up in Kingston, it is one of the best views in Ulster County. It is a beautiful, beautiful spot with Catskill Mountain views. So it's a pretty prime location in a lot of ways.
Okay, Brian's got a question over here.
Brian Hubert from Hudson Valley One. I just had a couple of questions. Just wondering about the sort of what to do about the great proposals and everything, but then there's the NIMBY opposition, as people have been mentioning. How do we push these through, and what can be done for people that need housing now? The projects are great, but the need is right now, and these take years to build. Like what can be done in the interim to help people while this gets through the process?
Yeah. So the question was, one, how do we overcome community concern? As I probably shouldn't have said NIMBY, but that's the real deal. How do we overcome that? And then what do we do for people right now that are in an acute crisis situation? So on the first part, as I said, public support, I think, helps overcome any opposition or concerns. So I'd ask you not to be a fence sitter, which sort of, but to be a positive supporter if that's something you're willing to do. And then on the urgency of the moment, there's no single simple answer. I wish there was. I mean, we've got folks in really dire situation. We continue to see an extension of some of the moratoriums and so on, but that's just to a certain degree kicking the can. So what we're trying to do is get immediate, urgent relief to people that are in an emergency situation, working with the federal funds that were made available for that, working with the states. It's actually a federal program, the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. It's been a bit of a mess, to be candid, to be rolled out in a very poor way. Myself and many others have called that out and pushed the state to speed it up and to fix it. We're going to continue to do that. There's $2.6 billion for New York State residents that are in need, yet somehow it's painfully slow to get them the money. So we're going to work to push and try to improve that. But funds are available. We just need to get them out for folks. But there is no shortcut answer here. We need more housing, and we need to know that that'll take a little bit of time. And in the meantime, the only other thing I'd say on that, Brian, separate discussion, but another project that we're excited about along these lines, which I hope many of you heard about, working with RUPCO, working with Catholic Charities, working with Family of Woodstock. We're going to purchase the old, what I knew as the Ramada Inn, now the Quality Inn, just right at the traffic circle there, and build over 100 units of supportive housing, which is a huge deal for people that right now almost have no place to go for that real emergency acute crisis housing. That'll have childcare services. It'll have communal cooking and kitchen space. There'll be fully built out apartments with individual kitchens in the home. Right now we have, on any given day, almost over 100 people in Ulster County living in hotels. And that is a choice that we made decades ago to not build these kinds of supportive housing projects for people in crisis. So we're finally addressing that. We're finally building something, but again, that's going to take a few years as well. So in the meantime, we're going to do everything we can to just hold this together and get as creative as we possibly can.
Yes, hi, I have a question regarding the site plan. Since there's going to be seniors there, are you going to have a pickleball court?
That was a hard question. You guys answer that.
And that's why we're looking for community feedback. Great idea. All right. I'll put that one on the board.
Oh, that was the softball question. We'll take more of those kinds of questions.
Tony?
Can I ask one more corollary to the timeline question? Really, is workforce availability to even construct this? I talked to Dylan a little bit earlier about it, but into 22, hopefully the situation is going to ease up. More folks going to return to the workplace, and whatever sector you're talking about. This one happens to be construction, and I'm just curious about that.
You guys want to talk about that?
Yeah, Tony, it's a great question, and part of the realities that we're talking about here, housing realities, dearth of services realities, and workforce realities. We are, like I said, under construction on about close to 2,000 apartments right now across the state, all of which in some form or fashion, whether it's Brooklyn or Schenectady, have some trade shortage. And so a big piece of what we're going to look for in our general contractor partners well before we start construction is serious hiring halls. It's going to be back here on 9/14/2022 at an expo, right? It's going to be educating people on availability. It's going to be providing OSHA and job training. Not everybody's going to come in, as a journeyman right off the get. And so we're going to need to find a way around that. And then, it's on the permanent job side, similar education. We are very proudly an employer of choice. We're places where people come to work for the rest of their career. And we have a pretty robust training program that comes with our property management roles. And so that's a big piece about what we're doing here. That's going to be part of the circuit that Will is spearheading in community engagement, which, is no small feat and not for the faint of heart. The NIMBYism factor is something that's real and that, is why we go through the community engagement process. It's silly to think in this time with the expertise that people have in building their own platforms like this, which can turn into a Twitter fire in 24 hours, that we shouldn't be addressing that piece in the room, right? That we should be hardening up the edges and be building, smarter affordable housing, but over here. The real tactic is to soften the edge and create a place where we can both understand, mutually respective, that one thing needs to be accomplished, and that's an improvement for society. Like that is the baseline. The pyramid goes up from there, and it's also a time we have to recognize that this is the poorest people have been, right? No one for the most part got richer out of this, right? And so the 2018 incomes that we're seeing up there didn't get magically better. It's on us to find a way to build as quickly as possible. You're never going to build yourself out of a problem like this. But the preservation deals that REPCO is working on with the county, the opportunity to do more preservation deals is fantastic. And I think at the end of the day, we're going to deal with workforce in the best way we know how, which is educate, approach, tackle the problem.
And I want to thank Tony leading our workforce development board. I know you all and Thomasine from our team have been working on this, but I think it brings up the larger point of we're at an inflection moment in a lot of ways in our community where it's not just a housing mismatch, it's a labor market need mismatch versus how we're still educating people, which is exactly the same as it was for me and probably exactly the same as it was for you all. So if we're not having those conversations in earnest right now and getting creative, and that's why we're excited to work with Pennrose and we're pushing the boundaries. But I know the collective brain power in this room that work on these problems every single day in terms of thinking about what tactics are working for you all to creatively try to find employees. How can we better partner with the BOCES and the SUNY Ulsters and the high schools and the middle schools, and I just say even our elementary schools, to change the way we're talking about career opportunities for folks. So thank you for bringing that up.
Questions? If not, thank you very much, Pat.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Please come back, see us again next month. Mike Oates will be our guest speaker. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of this summer today. Have a great day.